Have you noticed that everything sounds better in video games? Chopping down trees, drinking wine, ripping paintings off walls. In the Outer Worlds, looting the entire inventory off a corpse can sound like this. Oh, we're gonna call that the sound from now on. It is viscerally satisfying to me. Listening to it makes me want to know, how did Obsidian create the sound? And can I make a sound of my own? We'll get there. First, let's talk about what the sound is actually doing in the game. It's a gathering sound, and a gathering sound's job is to say, hey, you completed an interaction with the virtual world, and you have been rewarded. Imagine if you tried to loot a body and it sounded like, that ain't right. And in games where looting is a central mechanic, as it is in the Outer Worlds or Monster Hunter, the sound needs to be juicy. Can I say juicy?
Absolutely not.
Shit.
So even if it's subconscious, the sound designer and the developer want you to really enjoy gathering things and putting them in your inventory.
This is Hallie Boyd. She's a sound design grad student, and she says that sound design is one of the ways that developers can emphasize what's important in a game, and what should feel important to you, the player. That's why in a loot shooter like Borderlands, when you open a locker, it sounds like a big gosh darn deal. Sound effects also need to fit the game's aesthetic. That's why Stardew Valley uses gentle popping sounds to represent picking vegetables, instead of the sound of me literally wrenching a carrot from the earth. Outer Worlds, on the other hand, is striving for a stylish kind of realism. So if I want to make my own video game sound effects, I've got to figure out what's important to me. Well, let's take something that I do every day at work, opening my laptop. I want opening my laptop to invoke the feeling of opening a chest in Zelda, but I also want it to be semi-realistic. Like that was a good sound. It should be exciting and juicy, again, and while opening a laptop in real life is a near soundless and depressing experience, this is fiction now, so I have a license to exaggerate. The sound is my inspiration. So let's figure out how the sound was made.
Like most video games start with Foley, just like in movies, right? You sit in a recording studio and you hit stuff against stuff for a really long time. Everything starts with that, no matter what you're gonna end up with.
Basically, what you're looking for are objects that have sort of some dynamicism to them.
This is Justin Bell, the audio director at Obsidian. I spoke with him and his colleague Renzo Heredia and got them to spill the beans on what makes good sounds good. Assuming there are beans involved at all.
Name any item and we probably have some sort of variation of it.
It's junk, that's what it is.
Basically junk. It's the stuff you throw away that you're like, I don't need this. Talk to an audio person and they're probably like, Simone, actually can we grab that?
But all of this junk is valuable because sound engineers like Renzo can use it to evoke a gun or a bottle of pills or a rattling spaceship.
And then you're also looking for things that are sort of resonant. You know, if I tap on this, you could tell that it's a cardboard box. So when you're going around your house or your office or whatever looking for objects, tap them, shake them, rattle them, and if they make a sound that seems pleasing, go for those.
So what stuff was Obsidian using when they made the sound? I asked Hallie to make an educated guess as to what's in the sound, and then I brought her ideas to Justin and Renzo to confirm.
What you were hearing was sort of a mix of the sounds that were contained within the Marauder dead body container, as well as the initial looting sound of grabbing the body and then rifling through the clothes. There's different components to the sound, right? So if I were to sort of break down grabbing this mint box in slow motion, there's the moment that your hand touches the thing. So that's sort of the initial part of the sound. This is it's kind of dark, but if you imagine that there's a body there, right? And you're going through their stuff, you're gonna be rifling through their clothes. So that's what that would be.
There was material used that was sharp. So I don't know how close it is to a real sword, but we have a metal sword as part of our objects. And that was one of the things I used. I had a drawer shelf and a sword and then like other things. I brought a metal spatula. So I would like drag all three and just try and get like a like shing, something like that to happen. It was a lot of door materials, like door hinges, knobs. I took out chains because chains were they're a little too like high pitch. But anything metal that was a good little like satisfying shake, I brought that for ammo.
All of these components correspond to different things that you can loot from this poor dead marauder. They need to sound satisfying on their own, but also when they're all played together. And that comes down to the mix. Sound designers manipulate these recordings to get their desired effect. They also balance the volume levels of each sound so that your eardrums don't get blasted when you're trying to have a satisfying gaming experience.
When you play that sound, you want people to crave hearing that sound some more.
But there's something else that makes these individual sounds really nice to hear together.
Each of those sounds that I laid out for you, they each occupy a different place on the audible spectrum. The bodily impact is very low end. The cloth movement is a little more mid-range. The knife against metal is more high-mid, so sort of in that little in-between zone. And the metal jingling is very much in the high end. Something you may notice about that is that's exactly how we mix music, right? We carve out a place for the drums and for the bass and for the guitar and for the vocals when we EQ music.
So let's break down what I want to happen when I open my laptop in this video game of life. Just like looting the body, the first layer of the sound is my hand touching the laptop. Maybe there's some kind of creak to indicate the hinge is working, and I think like a hiss of air when the laptop opens, and something to indicate that it's an electronic object, like clicking sound or keys or something digital. And to make this fun/hard for me, I'm going to try to make this sound only with stuff I can find in my office, which is sort of what Justin and Renzo did, except they have a huge junk room.
I could give you some suggestions for when you do your Foley pass.
The first rule of sound design is to get a completely soundless room and a really good mic, but Justin had some final advice.
Think about the relationship of your ear to the object, and that should sort of be the relationship of the microphone to your object. Because if you go right up to the mic versus sounds different, right?
Yeah.
And what you're hearing and what drew you to this object is how you were listening to it initially. So you want to record that same perspective, that same distance from your ear, if that makes sense.
Okay, now it's time to use everything I've learned to make a sound of my own.
We are going to run all over the offices of Vox Media to look for dynamic and resonant objects that I can use to make a new sound for opening my laptop. So, as we discussed, we are looking for a contact sound, an electronic or like key tapping sound to evoke what you do with the laptop, a creak for the hinges, and then maybe some kind of boom or hiss for when the laptop opens. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay. You know I love this. Can I take these? Yeah. Here's my bag. Got any questions, Brian, from your elders, your wise elders who are doing hard work here? Oh, wait. Oh, try it again. Ew. I kind of like that. Is that a good contact sound? That's real good. I could kind of see this being clicky if I manipulate it. You're making a face that's like, no. All right, I'm gonna chug the rest of this, and then we're gonna go to the VO room.
Wow, you hear that noise?
Yeah, I heard it. This is actually probably, somebody just vomited and turned off the video because I'm grabbing a hairy lint roller. I'm gonna take this. Is there anyone in here? Oh, hell yeah. Okay. All right.
It sound like if you drag that.
Really fucking good! I said I was going to record all of these sounds in our VO room with the good mic. Some of these I'm probably just gonna have to use what I record with this.
You look like you're absolutely rolling right
I am. I'm gonna take this. So I think if I take a couple of those and then layer them on top of each other, I can get like a elongated hiss. Okay, so we have a hiss now, which is the cleaner. We've got some different rattly things and some things that I think might be clicky. We've got the creaky chair. And there's gotta be, oh my God, how does that happen?
We need something to sort of say that the OS is alive, some sort of chime.
If you don't listen to the bang, but just listen to the...
I don't know. It's your video.
Sound design is so important to video games, and it's also quite literally invisible because it sounds. Going through this process of picking objects and recording them and thinking about them makes me appreciate experts like Justin and Renzo even more than I already did, because just 1 second of sound takes so much thought. So I had an excellent time making this sound today. I hope it turns out okay. I think it will. I don't know yet, but it doesn't matter, because even though I don't have Renzo's experience or Hallie's sound design education, what I did have was a lot of fun. Wow, that was powerful. So I think if you would like to go out and make a sound of your own, you absolutely should. The best way to learn something is to practice doing it. Maybe don't show anyone what you've done on your YouTube channel. Thanks everyone for watching. Go out, make noise, have fun.
For all we know, maybe Simone, you'll decide to be a sound designer and you will kick so much butt at it.
I'm gonna quit my job after I make this video.
You're stepping on my tiny mice. Give me some direction.